So, let's start with what actually JavaScript is. Okay. So, JavaScript, is a language for web pages. You know, like you have a language like HTML and CSS. These are the three, languages for web page development, right? These are the three core languages for web pages. Okay, after that comes, we should also know exactly what they do. They all have a specific purpose. For example, HTML, kind of uh, is behind the design and a structure of our application or of a web page. Okay, so what we see is created by HTML. It's HTML that helps us create that, and multiple things HTML gives us to us. Heading tag is being given to us, paragraph is being given to us. Body tag and form, etc., etc. Multiple tags, are given to us, which actually helps us design and structure the web page. But when it comes to the presentation part, for example, what kind of a font will be used, or what kind of a background color will be used, what kind of margin or what kind of padding, left padding, right padding, what how a particular division will look like, what will be a width and a height of a division. So that is basically, given to or that is basically done through CSS. After that comes JavaScript. See, whatever we do on a web page, so if our web page is interactive, if we are able to perform any operation on the web page, it is because of JavaScript. When you move a mouse, or when you click something, or when something gets hidden or something is shown, when images are removed or images changes, they all happen that all happen, when, let's say, I enter a wrong value in a text box and I am being shown error message. All that can be done via JavaScript. Okay, so JavaScript basically helps us make a web page according to the business functionality. What kind of, as I said, you know when you enhance a drop down, when this is JavaScript. Basically, when you click here, this is also JavaScript. Another pops up, another uh, dialog box pop up. Okay, so JavaScript basically makes our application interactive, right? So this is just the introduction, you know, what kind of language JavaScript is. Okay, after that comes, how JavaScript works. That we should know, because if you are aware about Java, or if you are aware about Python, all these programming languages, there is an interpreter for all these languages. Similarly, JavaScript, for JavaScript also there is an interpreter. JavaScript executes on a browser, you know and nowadays, using Node.js, JavaScript runs on the server side also. So JavaScript runs because of a JavaScript engine. you know so when you say Java, you have JVM, and entire interpreter is there. Similarly, when you call Python, there is a Python interpreter also with the name Python 3, right? So for JavaScript also, there is a interpreter, there is a JavaScript virtual machine engine, right? And I said JavaScript runs on a browser. So what is that JVM, JavaScript virtual machine engine? For example, Chrome and Opera, they share a same JavaScript virtual machine engine with the name V8, right? So there is another browser called Firefox, Mozilla Firefox. For that, there is another, a JavaScript virtual machine engine with the name SpiderMonkey. For every browser you have a JavaScript virtual machine engine which actually runs your JavaScript. We are interested in how the JavaScript runs. Okay, for example, Safari, a Mac, you know, browser. So you have a JavaScript virtual machine engine with the name Squirrelfish. Okay, so whatever code we will learn, whatever concepts we will learn, all those concepts will work on the browser because of this JavaScript virtual machine engine. Right? So in Java also, so operating system understands the machine language, or operating system understands the bytecode, right? Similarly, this JavaScript, it's a language and it follows a particular syntax. But this code, JavaScript calls code, also has to be converted into bytecode. So I did not use the word compilation because interpreter means you know uh, in which it gets transpiled into a particular code itself. So it is this JavaScript virtual machine engine that there is a term used in JavaScript or TypeScript which is called as transpilation. So your JavaScript code gets transpiled to bytecode by the JavaScript virtual machine engine only, right? So these browser JVMs, JavaScript virtual machine engines, they transpile the code. Okay, yeah. So that is the case. Now, like if you little bit compare this with Java, I usually don't talk about this, but in Java, we the CPU does not allocate any memory to threads, right? And a thread is the smallest processing unit which actually runs. But here also, CPU does not allocate any memory to the to the browser for running the JavaScript code, right? It's the yeah. So it's being managed by these JavaScript virtual machine engine only, right? So after that, there is this basic thing, comes. It is actually not required, but a very basic thing which just one knows that for example, with the help of JavaScript code, we cannot access anything on the user machine, right? So let's say if I want to interact with the camera or with the microphone, with any particular file on the system, so there are limitations to JavaScript also, right? So yeah, so this is just a basic point. When you read about this, you will come across a term called same origin policy. So if you have a particular web page running on a particular tab, the another tab, two tab talk to each other when they have a same port number, when they have a same domain name, and if it is protocol is also taken into consideration. So it cannot happen that a Gmail credentials or Gmail activity is being noted down by the Yahoo activity. Just a basic thing, not much of a right. So, sir, yeah, JavaScript also has a certain limitation. Another very basic thing that one should know, that JavaScript actually came in the same year when Java came, 1995, and JavaScript was launched for a browser called Netscape Navigator, 2.0 that time. So parallelly Internet Explorer was there, which was releasing the JavaScript version, and so it was renamed from JavaScript. It was actually first, it was called as LiveScript, and it was later renamed to JavaScript because Java was becoming popular, so they just got the name from there only, nothing much. And then, actually in 1999, let's say when if you compare with Java, all the releases of Java is being managed by Oracle since 2011. Similarly, all the updates of JavaScript is being managed by, there is this standardized body, you know, and now JavaScript is also called as ECMAScript, right? So, uh, you know, uh, so they have, like, so they follow a compliance, they release different versions for JavaScript, right? Okay, so there is a separate, you know, team. For example, now you will hear in 2015 July ES5 came, 2017 ES6, and now ES7 might come up, very soon it will come up, right? So this is just the basics. So we got to know that our web pages are interactive because of JavaScript. We got to know that it is the JavaScript virtual machine engine which every browser carries to run the JavaScript code. We got to know that there are certain limitations to JavaScript code, and the who manages JavaScript. So after this basic introduction comes, let's get familiar with few concepts before we start you know before we start learning each concept in detail. Let's talk about few concepts, and these are all ES6, latest concepts which has come in the JavaScript. For example, you know the birth for constants have come in. I mean, the concept of constants have come in, meaning which the values which are only defined or created once, right? Only once they are created. For example, now if I take an example, so I've got multiple editors. I can use a fiddle editor, I have play code editor, I have a visual studio, I can run like on Eclipse or IntelliJ. I will use all of that, but just for the introductory part. Okay, just for the introductory part, just to get familiar with the concepts, let's so there is this keyword that has come with the name const, right? So const means constant. So if I want to declare a constant name, let's say JS, this is a constant. Now if I try to change this to, let's say, TS, I simply can't do that. You get this error attempting to override name, right? And you can also, like you have system out println in Java, you also have console log here. If I just comment this part out and if I run this, here you see the output that uh, so it simply just prints a name variable, which we just created, basic thing, right? So I could add anything. Name is JS, and it has you know I can introduce another variable. I'm just saying that it has, let's say, like we do in Java, we can do here also. So if I run, you can do anything. So it has more than 100. Yeah. So in final keyword, in Java, if it is non-static, it can be declared in constructor. If it is static, it can be declared in static initializer block. If it has a final method, it cannot be extended by child class. If it is a final class, it cannot be extended. But here, constant means once declared, story over. Okay. So after that comes let keyword. This is also ES6. Basically it is called as a block scope variable called let. Now there are actually three keywords. Since the introduction of JavaScript, where was there, and let and const has come in. Now basically let means only block scope. Now what do I mean by block scope? So this is a block, right? So if I say here that x is high, another block comes and here value of x is hello. So inside this block, if I print value of x, it will print hello. But outside this block, if I print the same line, it will print high, because the scope of let keyword you know is limited to the block. So when you run this, you see first it printed me the value of x is hello, and then it printed me the value of x is high, because the block, outer block, right? So there is a story, there is outer and inner block basically, right? Things like that. Okay. And but if you try to have a constant here, and if you try to, right, 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 because this x belong to this scope and this x belong to this scope. So their their home is different, you know they could have a same. Right, right, absolutely. But this story cannot stand true for constant. So if I have said here constant y is 3.0, since it is a constant, and if I say here y is actually 3.5, you will get to have this error message. And if I try to run, it says, yeah, if you try to do that also, here it printed a new let and const, just a second, they are block scope basically. But you know if I print the value for y, right? So earlier it printed the inner one, it printed 3.5, and the outer one it printed 3. But if you try to do this, you know now you will not get any compilation error. The only thing is, you know it does not stand true for a constant once declared, it cannot be altered. But uh, this Actually it is a dynamically typed language, meaning it is not mandatory to declare a variable in JavaScript, right? So what? Right, right. Yeah, right. So the only thing that I wanted to say was that if a constant is declared with a particular variable name, my only point, you can't see my screen. Okay, so I was, yeah, okay. So the only point that I wanted to say that if I try to change a constant, that is a type error in JavaScript. That you can't do. Other than that, const and block, they both are block scope variable, right? And where keyword I will teach you in detail, which is a function scope variable. Okay, so that I will tell you. Okay, so both let and const, they are block scope variable. So another thing that has come, which is very interesting, but somehow it looks little scary if we don't know. I'll tell you in how many ways functions are defined in JavaScript or TypeScript. But you know, let's talk about this arrow function, right? In Java, can you right? So lambda expression Java means inline implementation of a functional interface. One single line method is defined of a functional interface means that interface which has just got one method declared as part of it. Here, same thing, but just that it is a browser based language initially, right? So if I say var or let, whichever declaration type I choose here, that does not matter. So if I say add, now basically what I'm saying, you know you give me one parameter and I will add one to that. So the entire functionality of add reside in this variable. So using arrow function, we have given the functionality to add, we call this as, add as an arrow function. So basically, if I simply call console log, I call this function with value 5, it will give me output as 6. This is arrow function, inline implementation. Right, just one basic example. You give me parameter, I will add one to it. That's it. Right. So if you say you know some other parameter and you return, and here you call that same function, but that is how when you pass 6 to that you get 7. But I took number of statements, and that is a, I'll tell you about this particular thing also, but here we are talking about arrow function. Okay, so this is a basic example. Now with this, another thing that has also come in JavaScript, which is called for each. So just as an example, that if I give a array in Java also square bracket, right? So here if I say for each, then I give an input. I just want a doubled value of the input. So I could just say this was also fine. Or for my understanding, I am saying I am giving you this, and this is using arrow function. A doubled value is given me back, right? This is just for my understanding. When I run this, so uh, this browser, this editor is printing less than like and greater than like this, right? So if I just give a space, even though it is giving that only, if I don't give that angular bracket, so it just it prints that. So 1 is to 1, 2, 4, 3, 9, 4, 16, doubled value. if I don't, you know, so this is just, you give me the input and whatever operation you want to get it done, you just mention and we will get it done. Basic in one single line. And now, you know, let's say I have, 30 comma 20 comma 10 comma 50 comma 60 comma 5. So you know about comparable or comparator, right? So sorting is also there. You said I am giving you two variables at a time. So here I am saying there also in Java we do sorting like this only, right? So if I put this entire thing in console log, ultimately I want to see the output also. It sorted everything in a ascending order. So just the JavaScript, right? I just cut everything. If you want this, I will share that with you, and I am pasting it. Okay. So these are three basic things. One, constant and let, block scope variable, and arrow function, which we will talk in detail also, in the videos also. We have explained that. Then something has come which is called as default function parameter. This feature is taken from Python, right? Which is, let's say I'm saying, some parameters will come and I don't give the value. For example, same thing I'm saying, this time I'm saying subtraction. So a comma b, a minus b. So if I just call this function sub with just one value 10, right? It gave me NaN, not a number. It's a data type, which we will talk about. But default function parameter means I give a default value to a second parameter if you don't provide. So now it says 10 minus 5, 5. If I give 20, 20 minus 5, 15. So you can give a default value to a parameter like this at the time of declaration itself. But if you want to give your own value, that is no issues. You can do that. So 20 minus 17, 3. Default value will be picked up. Now I will tell you about NaN, and I will also tell you about another keyword in JavaScript which is called undefined. So second value I am giving, first I can say undefined. If I don't want to give second value, right, now it gives me NaN, or if I give a second value, right? So my point was, so here 10 minus 5, 5 with the undefined value. Yeah, so basically that means this particular value is not defined. Yeah, right. Yes, it's a keyword, you can see that, right? No, that can't. It just takes NaN only. NaN is not a number, meaning here it expects a number. So, here it expects a number. But if let's say I am using a string, so here let's say I am passing AB and using plus I am doing concatenation. So here if I just call sub2 with the parameter CD, now it concatenate but do with CDNA, because it takes this as, you know, yeah, just take it as a string only. Right, right, right. That, means AB. Right. Yeah, and it means not a number, anything but number. We will talk about it, other also, objects also. Right. So that is default value, default function parameter. Similarly, another concept has come which is called as REST function parameters. Now, what is REST function parameter? You know, right now I'm saying default value. But what if I have more parameters which I am not taking care of? So meaning, I have sub, or I have a basic function right now. I'm just say taking x, right, and a function. This is function declaration, I'll come to that. But here, two parameters. After that, I don't know how many more will come. So this 3.args. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to print console log, and I'm going to say, value of a is this, and I'm going to say, and value of b is this, and I'm going to say, you know we have uh, we have these many number of arguments, okay, which are left. Okay, so 2, and other than 2, if more will come, we are ready to take them. So if I simply call this function x with first value 10, second value 20, third value 3, fourth value 4, fifth value 5. Now basically what I want to read here is value of a is 10, value of b is 20, and we have 3 arguments left. But there is a error. Error is invalid unexpected token. So here, and value, right? So it says value of a is 10, value of b is 20, and we have 3 more left. So this is, here you can, for each, how, because since we don't have the values, so you are saying, shall I use for each? For, right. So if I just forget, let's not talk about for each, but if I say, let's say basic printed 345. Yeah, yeah. I once we will discuss var in detail, with about that function part, right? So there, you will come to know the difference. But here actually, to be very honest, randomly I am using, the I just used let because I've used where two times. Otherwise I could have, yeah, but I will, yeah. So it is just, but yeah, we'll talk about where in detail, and okay. Yeah, but then the definition of a function can't change. So if I say const, it's perfectly fine. It gives me a same output. But with let, you can give a new definition. You know, here, since it is part of a same block, it is giving me the error, but x has already been declared in that same block, right? But here, if I don't use x, then it's fine, I could have said that, C has also come, and I could have printed the value for C also, and it would have worked fine, right? So if I call this all over again, this, you know, so here it says unexpected token A, B, C. Oh, I did not put comma here. So, it gives me same output, but right, absolutely right. Okay, so that is one thing. Now the another thing is called as, string templating, basically, right? Whenever you want me to stop, just let me know, I'll stop. Okay. Okay, so now string templating means, it is called as interpolation. I mean to say, you can include the text. For example, this is a variable that we declared. Okay, now I could have made a sentence out of it, which is, this, I would like to use this language. So dollar sign figure bracket, I could use language, right? Is a, um, I could have said this language is a is for web pages. If is for web page development, right? So if I print this, right? If you print this, oh sorry, string templating works within this backtick. So here single quote, double quote, triple quote will not work. So this backtick, which is above the tab key, it says JS is for web page development. So this is called as string templating, right? Now I have taken a simple example, but we can take a little complex example. Basically same thing. I'm going to have a arrow function with the name multiply. I'm saying I'm giving you one parameter, and you add or multiply 5 to that. Okay, so I will give something, you add 5 to that, and I have number, number A with value 5. So 5 into 5, 25 should be the output. But here I am going to have string templating, backtick. So in the output variable, I am saying, simply saying output is dollar sign, figure bracket or curly braces. This multiply function, and multiply function needs the parameter, which is number A. So if I just print this output, you see it says output is 25. This is string templating, you have included, right? Okay, so you can take more examples also. Backticks, let's say using backtick I could have had a multi-line also. Hello everyone, this is JS, something like this. You can print it in that many number of lines. Okay, so we have discussed basically six concepts. First we discussed the cons keyword, then let keyword. Yes, there you're right, they are block scope ones, right? After that we learned about basic arrow functions exist. Then we learned about default function parameters and then rest function parameters, and now we have discussed string template. After that I just want to show you that it's now class can be created, constructor can be created, method can be created, getter setter can be created, and ultimately object can also be created. I'm just giving you the introduction for them. Yeah, all that can be done. Now do you want to start right now or shall we do it in the next class? Okay then. Okay, so I'll send you the invite and we'll connect. Yeah, so first, I will recommend that you just, create the same examples, because later in the course I've created multiple projects, so you can implement that. And once you do those projects and these examples, then I will give you more assignments. I just, yeah, yeah, I'll just, mail you the same thing. Okay, thank you. Bye. Bye. See you.